Let's take a look now to a new exhibition at Israel's Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum. It takes a step back from all the photographs and films that were produced during the Holocaust and looks closer at the relationship between a picture, memory, and history. Our culture correspondent Maya Margit attended the opening.
Photography, film, and history. How does a picture form our understanding of history? How do images shape collective memory? An exhibition is hoping to answer those questions by asking viewers to see beyond the picture to the person holding the camera. Ahead of International Holocaust Day, Israel's National Holocaust Memorial, the Yad Vashem Museum, has launched a new exhibition called Flashes of Memory. What's interesting here is that, first of all, there are thousands of pictures, thousands of photographs, but it also features many different perspectives from the Second World War. On one side, snapshots by German soldiers, used for propaganda purposes or other personal reasons. On the other, photos Jews shot in secret in the ghettos as they were officially forbidden to own a camera. So these pictures were an act of defiance.
What we want to do in this unique exhibition is to go backward and to look through the eye of the photographer and the mind of the editor that dealt with those photographs.
The final section of the exhibit looks at pictures and films shot by the Allied forces following the liberation of the Nazi death camps. Tomi Shacham, who survived Auschwitz, was separated from his parents during the war and is featured in one of them. He was just 10.5 years old when the Soviet army liberated the camp. Shacham remembers when the Russians photographed him along with other survivors in Auschwitz. He also recalls how hard it was to reunite with loved ones afterwards.
I went to Budapest after the war. I found out what street my relatives were on, knocked on the door, and saw my uncle. It was a very happy moment. He told me my brother died in a ghetto. I had no news of my mother. After a month or so living there, it was July 1st, my birthday. I was turning 11. I was playing in the garden when I heard someone call me to come inside the house. I was sure there was a surprise birthday party waiting for me. I went upstairs, and who do I see? My mother. Even today, I'm moved when I think about it. My mother remembered it was my birthday and came.
The exhibition underlines the important connection between visual documentation and how we view the Holocaust.
The camera has a great manipulative power. The photographs pretends to reflect reality as it is. In fact, it is a kind of interpretation of it.
The message, photography and film may be powerful, but ultimately, no image is innocent.
Our Maya Margit is here with us. Maya, an incredible story where you see the effect, the profound effect that it had on some of the people there who had their own personal stories playing out there. How did you feel going to that exhibition that is clearly trying to find a sort of new way to affect memory and really the remembrance of the Holocaust?
I think that was one of the main goals of the exhibition, was to kind of deal with the oversaturation of imagery and things that everyone here experiences on a regular basis. And they're trying to go behind the images and go beyond what people see. All these very famous pictures of the Holocaust, of the camps, they want to show what's behind those images. So there are certain things that were quite interesting that I learned during the show, but it was ultimately very overwhelming. It's quite a big exhibition. There's over 1,000 pictures, films, all kinds of documentation. So it's something that you should visit more than once, I think.
It's interesting because the Nazi regime itself put such focus on visual representation, photography. We saw Leni Riefenstahl was a Nazi propagandist, but also a masterful filmmaker and photographer herself.
Right, there were some posters of Leni Riefenstahl, the infamous Nazi director propagandist, and they were showing those images to show different sides of representation during that era. So they were not just showing pictures that were taken of the Jews at the camps at the end by the Allied forces, they were also showing things that were taken by the Nazi regime for the Nazi regime. Something interesting that I learned is that the Allied forces, well, the Soviet army specifically, at the liberation of Auschwitz, which is on January 27th, that's International Holocaust Day, during that liberation, they didn't have any cameras with them, so they had to reenact the liberation of Auschwitz a week later. They brought back all the former inmates, and they redid everything, and they reshot everything. That's a very interesting fact.
And overall, incredible to think that the Nazi regimes, the importance that they put on actually documenting everything for themselves, ended up helping memory today to actually have those images, to have the proof of that chapter of history. Maya Margit, thanks very much for bringing us that.